Cristiano, Neymar, Ronaldinho, Messi, Maradona, Lamine Yamal, Zidane. Different players with different styles in different eras, but all of them elite dribblers. So naturally the question becomes, what is one thing they all have in common? Well, that's when I realized there is one main skill that all the best dribblers in the world have in common. And after countless research and studying of football and football analysis, and even experimenting myself, I finally dialed down what that one skill is. And that skill is dribbling instinct. The understanding of how to dribble in different scenarios in a match. As the more matches you play, the more scenarios you're exposed to, meaning the more familiarity you will have with those scenarios when they come up in an actual match. Through repetition, your brain will get better at recognizing those scenarios and your body will get faster at executing what to do in them. This is essentially the concept of doing something so many times until it becomes instinctual. But in this video, I'm not just gonna talk about how to play through your instincts. Instead, I'm gonna take a deeper dive by showing you different science-backed methods that you can use to, one, mentally recognize your opponent's movement quicker by training your subconscious mind via a method called visual repetition. Number two, how to increase the speed of your physical response to movement by training your reaction time and your reflexes. And then number three, how to develop the technical ability with the ball that's needed to execute the moves you do while you dribble. With that said, let's start off by first properly understanding the mental side of dribbling instinct. So the first way you develop dribbling instinct is by gaining a better understanding of movement, and specifically how defenders move around you while you dribble. This basically allows you to then react better and even predict a defender's movement while you're trying to dribble by them. And you see countless examples of this in football, like Kylian Mbappe, who, if you noticed, usually first slows down, then speeds up. And then he might slow down again and speed up. And he's been able to gain this understanding of his defenders usually slowing down as he slows down, which then buys him half a second, which he knows that no player can compete with him when he's in that accelerating phase. So then he kind of sets up defenders in this way by using this predictable movement pattern of slowing down and speeding up. So this is just one example of what happens when you're able to gain this mental understanding of movement. You're able to predict players and set them up and even better react to them. Now, the second part of dribbling instinct when it comes to the mental side is something called subconscious triggers. The subconscious part of your brain is what makes you do things without you actually thinking, and then a trigger is just something that causes you to do something, right? So in life, we have a lot of these subconscious triggers. For example, if someone enacts throwing something to you, that's a trigger for you to then put your hands up like this. But you don't consciously think about putting your hands up like this. You don't even have enough time to by the time the thing goes into your hand. Subconsciously, without you even thinking, you naturally just put your hands up like this. And that's kind of what I mean about a subconscious trigger. We have many more of these in life, and in fact, we have these to protect ourselves. Like our brain naturally, when something's about to fall on our heads, we naturally put our hands up like this because it knows that the most dangerous part of the body to be hit is the brain, is the head, right? So subconsciously, we have this trigger that protects us of putting your hands like this. So just like how we have these subconscious triggers in life, in football, we have the opportunity to create these subconscious triggers and then speed up our recognition of them so that we can get quicker. Now, obviously, having the trigger is one thing, but just like how it's insanely fast when we go like this, we want to be able to get our subconscious triggers in football to make us rapidly recognize them. And by the way, this is exactly what makes Lionel Messi and other great dribblers, beat players so quickly, even when they're so close to them. If you take a look at this clip here, what it looks like on the outside is Messi and Casemiro are moving at the same time. But really, when you slow it down, what you realize is Casemiro first sticks out his foot, which is a subconscious trigger for Messi, who then sticks out his foot to then move the ball around him. The insane speed at which Messi is able to recognize these triggers makes it look like the illusion of him moving at the same time as Casemiro. But Messi wouldn't have moved his foot until Casemiro moved his foot because he wouldn't know which way to go. So really, when you break it down, these great dribblers that move so quick like Messi are just so quick at recognizing the mental trigger and then physically being able to actually move them, which is the next section we're going to talk about in a quick second. Now, before I get into the physical side of things, I know you might be thinking, Wazzani, all of those things you showed me on the mental side was really cool and all, but how do I actually train that? How do I develop all those things that you were showing me? With that said, I want to real quickly give you a training method that you can use to train that. This is a training method I've used for myself and for the players that I coach and train, and it works like wonders. This training method is called visual repetition, or sometimes I call it subconscious reprogramming. And how it works is like this. I give you a collection of clips that you watch repetitively and repetitively. These clips are going to be clips of elite dribblers at the pro level performing successful dribbles in the most common dribbling scenarios you'll be in. And what's going to happen is, as you continuously watch these clips over and over and over again, the information that you see in those clips are going to get stored into your subconscious brain. And that's done through the repetition, as the science shows us that one of the most powerful ways to transfer information from the conscious to the subconscious is by repetitively exposing your brain to that information until it just becomes automatic in your head. And this is actually why in the mental health space, there's an exercise called self-affirmations that a lot of people use. This is an exercise where every morning people wake up and go in front of the mirror and say things like, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. And what happens here is, when there's a person that's depressed and the desired outcome is for them to become happy, by having them say happy thoughts every day and hear happy thoughts every day and think happy thoughts every day, they actually, after a few weeks' time, subconsciously program their brain to become happy. And then all of a sudden, they actually are happier and feel a lot better. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, and you might have heard it before and are like, whoa, I don't know if that really works or not. But just to let you know, the science behind it is actually valid. And it is that repetition, and subconscious reprogramming that I've added in this training method. So with this training method, that's kind of how all the science behind it works. Right now, you're at a basic level of dribbling instinct, and your desired outcome is to get to a high level of dribbling instinct like the players you're watching in the clips. Therefore, if you repetitively input all the information that you see in these clips into your brain of what these guys are doing, then what happens is, in a few weeks' time, all of the correct information you see from the high-level dribblers are going to be in your brain. And when you're actually on the pitch in a few weeks' time in that situation, you're going to now have all of that information to execute the same things you've been seeing in the clips, and therefore become a high-level instinctual dribbler. By the way, if you've been enjoying this video so far, I just wanted to let you know that I've created a full training program on dribbling instinct, where you'll be able to get access to over 15 plus training methods and drills on the technical, physical, and mental side of improving your dribbling instinct. With that said, I've put a link below this video in the description and comment section. Click that link down below to get access to the full training program and take your first step in becoming an elite dribbler. Let's get right back into the video. Now, if you know anything about me and my channel, we go all in when it comes to developing a skill. With that said, I've taken even a step further with this drill and added one more element to make it even more powerful. And that's by having you watch the clips in slow motion. Now, the reason I've done this is because science shows us that our brain most optimally learns things when it's broken down in steps. Therefore, if we're able to slow down a clip and break down what happens in steps, our brain is better able to register what happens. This is why if I were to show you a skill that you haven't done before, like shooting a basketball, if I were to just shoot a basketball and you've never shot a basketball before, and I just did the whole motion in once, you'd probably not be able to pull it off in the first few times because you didn't really register what I did physically to shoot the basketball properly. But if I were to break it down to you in steps and it really showed you, like, first, you want to grip the ball like this. Then you want to position your elbows like this. Then you want to raise it and flick up your wrist. What happens now is your brain is better able to register what you just saw because it was broken down in steps. So when we slow down this clip, you're able to see all of the little steps that go into a successful dribble. How the player physically drops his shoulder, rotates his torso, how he plants his foot, where he touches the ball, is his chest over the ball, is it behind the ball? And what happens is now your brain is not only getting the benefit of repetition, but it's actually in a more optimized environment for learning. So you're really getting the most bang for your buck and the most effective information stored into your subconscious. So that's the end of this whole training method that I call visual repetition or subconscious reprogramming. This is just one of the training methods that I've included in my training program, and one of the most powerful training methods that I use for myself and my players, as it works like wonders. So with that said, let's finish off this video by getting into the physical side and technical side of dribbling instinct. So now physically, this is about how we execute movement. Earlier, we saw Mbappe mentally register what to do, but his body needs to be able to keep up physically by executing the moves that he needs to do in the situations. Oftentimes, we see in sport when an athlete mentally registers what's going on. He sees the ball going through his legs, but physically, he's not able to respond in time, and therefore, he can't close his legs fast enough. We see this in boxing and in UFC and MMA, where when an opponent is throwing a punch, sometimes the other opponent actually sees the punch coming. Mentally, he registers the trigger, but physically, he's not able to dodge the punch and react in time, and therefore he gets punched. And so now with that said, the way we train this is going to be pretty straightforward. We want to work on having quicker reflexes and reaction time. And in each reflex, there's basically two parts. The first part is when your brain sends a motor signal to the body part you want to move. And then the second part is when that body part has to contract its muscles to actually move. So when we train our reflexes, what we're going to do is first focus on speeding up the motor signaling process. And then secondly, we're going to also train the muscles in that area to contract faster and get used to faster contractions. This is actually what's referred to a lot as fast twitch muscles, and specifically fast twitch muscle training, where you modify workouts in a way to actually optimize for those quick contractions. So now the last piece of the physical side of things is actually your body recognizing the best ways to move when you dribble. This is what we call biomechanics. This is essentially how your body recognizes how to plant your foot most optimally, how to rotate your hips, how to drop your shoulders, how low to drop your shoulders, the distance between you and the player, and how you should move. This is basically the science of movement. And what happens is oftentimes where you and I are, less coordinated, our coordination is bad and we don't have that much mobility and flexibility, we restrict ourselves in these dribbling scenarios because we can't quite move the way that our body would like to move. Therefore, we move slower or we just don't pull off the move at all. Therefore, if we can work on our biomechanics, our body movement, and really optimize how we can move, we'll also be able to, basically move quicker and get better in these dribbling scenarios. All right, so now the last piece of the puzzle is going to be the technical side of things. You can mentally be able to register movement and physically be able to optimize how you move, but football is played with a ball. If you're not technically able to move the ball and control it properly and execute the move you want to do, then the mental and physical side of things are pretty much irrelevant. Now, to help your dribbling instinct on a technical level is going to be very straightforward. You need to master ball control, all right? If you are comfortable with the ball and you have absolute comfort with any situation, any move, any way you need to move the ball, it's going to allow you to more optimally move in dribbling scenarios. And to improve your ball control, it's very straightforward. All you need to do is do training methods that improve your turning, your first touch, when you're receiving the ball, and your ability to tight space dribble, right? And now, to be honest with you, I'm not really the biggest fan of cone dribbling. I do see sometimes how it could be helpful, but I think the best way of really doing this is getting practice in game scenarios. With that said, just increase the amount of scrimmages you play every week and make it make it an effort for you to practice dribbling in tight scenarios. Try doing small-sided matches where there's not that much space. Futsal is amazing for this, where you're developing your technical ability without just doing cone drills, but you're actually getting that real game scenario training and the technical ability as well. In my training program, just to take it a step further, I've actually put together a bunch of ball mastery drills, the most fundamental core mastery drills you need. Nothing too crazy, but stuff that gets you all of the results. So that's it for the video, actually. Yeah, we covered it all. Technical, mental, physical, the scrimmage training, all of that. So with that said, all right, I'm done yapping. My name is Wazzani. I make videos like these for footballers like you, where I bring a new approach to football development by using different science-backed methods that others aren't using so that we can get ahead of them and get ahead of the competition. If that sounds like something interesting to you, and if you found this video helpful at all, then subscribe to the channel and check out my training program at the link below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.